Hi, my name is Mark Polton. I'm a buy and hold real estate investor in the greater Charlotte, North Carolina area. Today I want to talk about my 2018 tax fail, epic fail. So if you look at like Tom Wheelwright, who is Robert Kiyosaki's tax advisor and CPA, and there's many other real estate professionals and investors and coaches that basically say if you're paying income tax, you're wrong. Well, 2018, I was wrong. So it's April 26th. I just got my initial draft of my tax return. It's actually printing up the summary, which is, I think the summary 63 pages, but the actual tax return is well over 200 pages. It's mondo crazy. But this is the first year in a while that we've actually had to pay a little bit of extra. I think we owe $654 in the initial draft. I'm hoping to be able to change that a little bit, but in 2018, the tax withholdings for our W-2 jobs were changed, and we obviously had less withheld. So why are we not getting a big refund today? And how did we do it in the past? Well, on the Schedule E, which is where you do all your buy and hold real estate, where you put in all your expenses and all your income, the entire point really is to lose money on paper. You typically accomplish that by using what's called depreciation. So if you take say you buy a house for $100,000, the land's worth $20,000, so the home itself is worth $80,000. So you can depreciate or write off that $80,000 over 27 and a half years. It's called depreciation. It's basically free money. It's a free write-off. There's a lot more to it. The ramifications and the pros and cons. Not a CPA. I'm not giving you tax advice. If you want tax advice, go contact a CPA or a tax attorney. However, our biggest problem is we don't have enough write-offs. We buy property so cheap. As I think one of them we bought as low as $6,000. Depreciating $6,000 over a 27 and a half year period doesn't really get you much. So my wife's a little unhappy about that, and we're just not paying that much, and so for 2019, I kind of sat down and started scouring through, all kinds of articles and different forum posts and stuff like that to try to find, how can we do our business differently so that we can get more write-offs where we otherwise wouldn't. And we came up with a couple strategies, which hopefully this coming year will allow us to have more write-offs or more losses, as it's called. I think this year we only had $33,000 in losses, which is a bit disappointing. Would have liked to have had more, but bear in mind these aren't real monetary losses; they're paper losses. However, 2019 we're about to close on a duplex that's been fire damaged. That's going to be quite a lot to get that going, and but on the other hand, you got to look at the positive side of this, right? So that meant we had a lot of rental income coming in. And I remember watching The Money GPS, which is a channel, and he was going over the top 10 cities where it's more expensive to rent than it is to own. And Charlotte, which is where I do most of my investing, is like number 5 or 6 for that. And so I didn't really believe until I started thinking about it. So we have a couple 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,000 square foot, it could be 1,050, it could be 970, somewhere around there, all brick homes, and they rent for $1,200 a month. At most they're worth $100,000, maybe 120, unlikely. Assuming that you can actually get a loan for $100,000, you do it for 30 years, you're probably looking at $400. Throw in some maintenance and some taxes and some insurance and stuff like that, you're probably looking at $500 max. So, if you were to buy that home, you're paying $500 a month. If you're renting it, you're paying me $1,220, or at least $1,200. And so, yeah, Charlotte is an expensive place to rent. We're not finding. I guess it's difficult to become a home buyer. A lot of the people we rent to will probably never own their own home. They're just not financially sophisticated. They're not all that good with their money, or from casually observing from the outside, they're not. And so the possibility of them coming up with $20,000 is, maybe. But And I know there's some programs, you know, especially now, that are not requiring as much down, but they'll probably never take that plunge. I don't think they probably have steady enough employment in order to make that happen. Could be wrong. I wish them well. I also hope that they stay. So, other than kind of coming up with new tax write-off strategies and stuff like that, what can you do? Well, there's a thing called a 1031 exchange. You know, if we can take an existing property, say it's worth $200,000, right? Use that as a 20% down payment. We can sell it. Use that $200,000, or maybe two $100,000 properties to buy $1 million, you know, say 48 unit or 24 unit apartment complex, or maybe even something bigger. You know, you then get to start to depreciate that $1 million. So perhaps, you know, this year or last year and this year, you know, it's going to be the foundation, and then maybe we have to sell some properties if we can come up with a decent enough, you know, apartment complexes are crazy right now, crazy overvalued. But, you know, maybe in the next 4 or 5 years that'll change. It would require a pretty big downturn in the economy, but I don't know. So, in conclusion, really the whole point of buy and hold real estate is to basically pay as little or preferably $0 in income, and we've come close in the past. So, what are your thoughts on it? Are you able to reach net zero income tax? If you are, leave your comments in the comment section below. I'd like to know what you have to say. So I hope you go out there and live the You Won't Stop Me lifestyle. It's about 3 things: knowledge, wisdom, and experience. Once you have those, it doesn't matter if something comes and takes it all, divorce, economic collapse, stupidity even, you know you're going to be able to get it all back. So I wish you well.